Okay, we are back. It is the end of April, which means it's time for a April reading wrap up. I really need to go back and look at what I put for like my April TBR because I'm pretty sure I was talking to you guys and I was like, here's essentially a list of books I'm gonna choose from, but like I'm not reading all these. And then I read them all. This is coming from someone who did not leisurely read growing up, and I only recently discovered how much I love reading. So I anticipated only reading like 2 to 3 books maybe in a month. Like I just didn't think I was capable of doing more, at least for now. And then I read 7. So I used my notes app every single time I finished a book. I wrote like the name of it, like my rating on it, and then like maybe a paragraph of what I thought right after reading it. So I'm really gonna be using this, maybe reading directly from this, because this is exactly what we need. My thoughts right after finishing the book, not my thoughts a month later. And I'm also going to be discussing them in the order like I read them this month. So first up was Red Queen. It is book 1 in the series. I think there's 4 books. I'm pretty sure. So it took me about 50 to 80 pages to really kind of get into it and kind of get my grounding. This was my first fantasy book, so I think that's kind of what made that a thing. I'm not used to fantasy, so it just takes me a little longer to like dive into it. Once I understood the characters and like the scene more, I really enjoyed it. So it follows a society of silver and red bloods. The silvers all hold a special ability / power, making them elite and better than the red villagers. It follows Mare, who is red-blooded, but it's revealed she has a special ability. So confused and threatened, the royal family themselves take her into basically a cover story to hide her. With the red-blooded protesting group turns violent in their fight for equality, Mare must decide how she wants to be involved. It was full of surprising moments. I wasn't in love with it, and I struggled to take the main female character, Mare, side of things. And considering it's really told from her point of view, that made it challenging for me to read. And that was just kind of at times, so that's why I gave it 4. I'm not like a strict like rater person, so 4 out of 5. But yeah, I mean, it was a really cool story, and I definitely will be getting the second book. I liked it enough. But yeah, it was kind of hard because I'm used to being able to like agree with the main character, and I'm like, girl, sweetie, stop. So I don't know, I really liked it. I did think it was good. It was just like moments like that that made it not 5 stars. The second book I read this month was The Wedding Date. I was pretty stoked to read this because even picking it up, seeing the front, seeing the title, like you just know, it's gonna be a classic rom-com, you know what I mean? So I gave this 5 stars. Definitely intrigued from the start. It follows Alexa and Drew. Alexa is the mayor's chief of staff and Drew is a doctor, specifically a pediatrician. So Drew gets stuck in an elevator with her the night before his ex-girlfriend and best friend get married. Oh, and dateless. So they share enough laughs while being stuck that he asks her to be his date to the wedding. Normally, a woman that would never agree to something like that said yes. Before the wedding events, he accidentally slipped to his best friend that he's bringing his girlfriend, so now they must play couple all weekend. Before it was kind of just me like, just please be like my friend that's my date to the wedding. But now he's like, oh, I accidentally told him that you're my girlfriend. Turns out it's not so bad. Now, I love that the main characters are a black woman and a white man. I note they're racist because I love how the book included some real-life topics that would be discussed and acknowledged in the experiences that they had. As much as it gave that rom-com vibe, it didn't give off this like incredibly cheesy rom-com vibe. I do remember that. I love that. It felt more authentic than some rom-coms out there. I also loved getting the 2 point of views throughout the book. 10 out of 10, fun book. I know there's also a movie already out there with this title, and I was so mad at first when I saw it because I thought it was based on this book, and I was like, this is all wrong, I don't understand. And then I'm like, oh, no, it's not supposed to be based on this book. Got it. But it is in the works or something like that. So I will be very, very, very excited to watch this in the future. Next book I read was One of Us is Lying. So I gave this 5 stars. I originally bought it because it was totally giving the same vibe of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I loved. I still do. And after reading it, I was completely right. So it was different, obviously, but it still had me wanting to read it non-stop until the end. Facts. Even as it was time to reveal the killer, I wasn't positive on who it was. I had speculated, but I was nowhere near the point of guessing anyone involved in anything and the motives. It was such an easy read, although you're getting the alternate POVs of the four main characters, basically the four main suspects in a way. It was structured and written in such a way that made it incredibly easy to follow. I will definitely read the sequel. So it follows basically, it's kind of like Breakfast Club, honestly. Well, mixed with a murder. So 5 kids are put into detention basically after school, and one of them dies. And so then there's the 4 remaining that are basically suspects of like who did this. And it was just insane. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, the sequel is One of Us is next, and I definitely will be reading that. Next up is The Selection. I bought this simply because it reminded me of Bridgerton. I'm not sorry. It's the first, it's so funny. The first lines I wrote was, I bought this simply because it reminded me of Bridgerton, no shame. And I'm just like, I'm not sorry. Okay, so it's the first book of a 5-book series, I'm pretty sure. And I will definitely be getting the next book. This was such a quick read. Pretty sure I did it in a day. It was so easy to read, not too complex, but not incredibly cheesy. It follows a nation where classes are separated by numbers 1 through 8, 1s being a royal family, 8s being those who practically live on the streets. The selection is this process that's done in order for the prince to find a wife, one woman from all 35 states, if you will. Oh my god, hair, what are you doing? Okay. Are selected to move into the palace and allow the prince to get to know them. America Singer is the main female character. She's a 5 and in love with Aspen, who is a 6. She's ultimately selected and hating any thought of going to the palace, assuming the prince is stuck up, shallow, all that. I mean, yeah, makes sense. But through her time there, she's gotten to know him and starts to question all the plans she had previously made for herself, realizing that the life she always dreamed of may not compare to the future she never imagined. It was really, really good. There were cheesy moments, yes, duh, like any romance book, but it was really good, and I definitely look forward to getting the next book. Okay, this next one, Shadow and Bone. So this was my second fantasy book, also 5 stars. Did I tell you the selection? I'm pretty sure, yeah, okay, I gave that 5 stars. I don't know if I said that. Okay, anyways, Shadow and Bone, 5 stars. Point blank, period. So like I said, this was the second fantasy book that I read this month. It took much less time to find my grounding this time around, which felt really good. I'm not sure if it's just because, you know, it was my second fantasy book that I've read, so I just kind of got an understanding more, or maybe just the way this was written. I'm not sure. This is the first book in a trilogy, and I also plan on purchasing the second book. The story follows Alina, who was orphaned and raised in a place where she gained a best friend called Mal. As they both grew up, they joined the army, where the main task at hand is crossing something called the Shadowfold. It's an unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. Her regiment is attacked and unleashes dormant magic that she didn't know she possessed. Yeah, so her, you know, her group was like, ah, and she was like, power, and everyone was like, I'm sorry, what? With this newly discovered power, she's put into the world of royalty and trains with the Grisha, which is her country's magical military elite. The Darkling, who is practically ruling the Grisha in a way, believes Alina is the answer to their problems and can save their country. So it follows her training and discovering truths. It was a great book, and as you see, Netflix. So season 1 of this came out last year, and this is the first time I'm pretty sure that I'm actually reading a book prior to watching the movie or show. Like intentionally. Yeah, I know. So like I said, it's a trilogy. I will be purchasing that second book, and I will be watching season 1 of this ASAP. The Unhoneymooners. Guys, 5 stars. So good. Now this was your classic cheesy rom-com. Enemies to lovers, we are here for it. So it follows Olive and Ethan, whose siblings are getting married, so Olive's sister and Ethan's brother. At the wedding, everyone gets sick from the buffet, including the bride and groom, Not wanting the honeymoon to go to waste, Olive's sister tells her to go on the trip, and Ethan's brother tells him to do the same. You know, Ethan and Olive have hated each other this whole time. Their siblings were dating, but they also don't want to waste the opportunity to go to Maui for 10 days. Like, paid trip, no refunds. And plus the thing was, like, Olive and her sister are twins. And so Olive, because it's like no exchanges either. So Olive can pass as her sister, and she only had to give the groom's last name. So Ethan, being the brother, can pass as the groom as well. As time progresses, they uncover how much they really don't know about each other, and maybe they don't hate each other after all. So, you know, cheesy at times, yes, but all rom-coms are that way, let's be honest. This was good. I really enjoyed it. I actually had the audiobook I listened to the audiobook for Shadow and Bone for a majority of it, because I started on the plane. Unhoneymooners in the last book I read, because I was sick but I really wanted to read, but I couldn't bring myself to read, so I found the audiobooks and I blew through it. It was so good. So the Unhoneymooners, 10 out of 10. Hope that becomes a movie. Okay, the final book that I read was Alex Approximately. I just finished this. I'm crying. What's happening? Okay, 5 stars. First of all, 5 stars. I am not picky with stars, okay? I know some people are like, pretty picky over here, but I'm like, give them all 5 stars. I'm not happy about it, 5 stars. This is so bad. So, this is a complete summer romance read. Point blank period. I know I read this in April. I envisioned like it was summer. Like, I was living my summer life reading this. It follows Bailey, who starts off living with her mom and her new husband on the East Coast. She has an online friend who also loves films as much as her. That's kind of like their common interest, that's why they kind of found each other in a way. Their online names are Meeks and Alex. So Alex lives in California, the same town as Bailey, aka Meeks' dad. So over the summer, she decides to move in with her dad, but not tell Alex she's out there yet. She wants to find him on her own first, which I get it, you know? You're talking to someone online, you want to make sure they're not a creep. And she's gathered, like, some hints, like, just through stuff he said, like, oh, family shop. Oh, like, there's, a churro thing nearby. Like, it makes me so hungry. Like, she's, like, gathered enough details that she's like, I think I could maybe, like, try to find him. Kind of creepy. But, like, I get it. While searching, though, like, she needs to take a summer job where Porter comes in, a total California surfer boy. So only one problem. Porter is Alex, and Bailey is Meeks. It's so interesting to see their story unfold, blending both of these stories while they don't know they actually have known each other online for quite a while. I was eager the entire book to see how, that would surface, and it was just a great read. I really enjoyed it. I remember watching someone's review of this, and they're like, I was surprised how, because at some points of the book, like, it has this, like, chat dialogue thing of Alex and Minx, and they're like, as the book progresses, I feel like you get less of that, but, like, it makes sense to me. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's just, like, as that progresses, like, why there's less and less, like, it makes sense. Hello? We would want that. Anyways, this is a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I hope this also becomes a movie. This would be a great summer movie. Could you imagine? I mean, look. The cover, they're just, like, in a pool with you could do that yourself watching this. I'm gonna put the projector on. We're gonna get in the pool with some floaties and snacks. We're gonna watch Alex Approximately. Okay. That is all the books that I read, and I loved them. I loved them all. Ultimately, I really did. I am going to be doing an May TBR video separately because I did order some books, and I've already gotten some because I went to another library, like, book sale thing, but I need those to come in. And I don't think they're all going to come in until, like, the first week of May, so that's going to be coming the first week of May. Until then, these are all the books that I read in April. Hopefully you found some that maybe you could be interested in. Maybe. Huh? I'm just so glad I've gotten into reading. It's made me enjoy being on my phone less, like watching TV less. I mean, I don't own a TV now, I only have my projector, but oh well. So, this is it. Thank you for watching, and I will definitely see you in my next video.